call the BEDC board meeting to order. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to adjourn to executive session, and we'll be back shortly. That's ominous. Okay, 5:41, and we're reconvening. At this time, do we have any public comments? No public comments, then let's go ahead and start with regular business and presentations. 3.1, approval of meeting minutes of the Bastrop EDC regular board meeting of January 28, 2019. I actually, in reading them, and just for consideration for others, if you want to maybe make an amendment on the minutes under 3.4, as it read, it was that we had voted and we had just voted and approved as stated. But I do recall that we did have a variation of that where we were directed our council to move forward. So the language that's been provided here could be, if someone would move to, that the BEDC attorney Cameron Cox recommended amending the resolution to include a requirement that the president of AEI sign an affidavit attesting that he had been a full-time employee per the performance agreement for the previous 12 consecutive months. If someone would like to move to approve corrected minutes.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we approve the amended minutes as corrected.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay, so 3.2, acceptance of the Bastrop EED's financial summary report for period ending January 31st, 2019. Mike?
Okay. So revenue for January of 2019 was $195,226, and our expenditure is $535,818. Now, the majority of that was a big Agnes payment came out of January, so that's a little out of whack, but not as it goes for the fiscal year, just for that month in particular. So not something to be alarmed about. Just I think it was a $240,000, if I'm not mistaken, payment in January. So it was a pretty sizable one. Summary of sales tax revenue, the same as the revenue from the page before. Was a forecast. The actual was 182, so we are a little below in January. And in talking to Tracy Waldron at the city, it is her opinion that it's some timing issues with some payments after the holidays, and so hopefully we'll see a little bit of a rebound in the February payment. But it tends to be if one or two of our larger taxpayers just is a day late in filing their payment, then it shows up here. So we'll keep an eye on it. I'm certainly not that alarmed at this point. As you can see, in December it was up $27,000 more than we expected. So we're fine there, but we'll keep an eye on it. Expenditures, budget to actual, we're doing fine, but you'll see again, I'm sorry, it's on the next page. So personnel is tracking a little higher. Again, we did not have, we have a new FTE that wasn't budgeted, which we'll get to next and how we're going to deal with the budget items. But that's starting to bear out there in personnel that we're heavy one person. Supplies and materials are fine. Maintenance and repairs, we have a couple things that need to be done. Occupancy, that is also a timing issue. You see it every single month that we're a little over. It's just because it's hitting at a weird time in the budget cycle. So it looks like we pay twice pretty much every month almost. It's really weird that we can't figure that out, but it is what it is. Contractual services continues to be fine. Marketing, advertising, that also bumped up, but I'm not 100% sure. These are a little squirrely because I was working with Tracy. Tracy did get my updated numbers from how I want to move money around, and I'm not sure that she didn't add that number into there for the budget, but we'll work that out. It's still not an issue. Capital outlay projects, trail system, downtown loop. Budgeted $629,218. We still haven't spent much on it. I'll talk a little bit about this later. Actually, I'll talk about it right now. So downtown loop, we are about to start on that. So we actually expect letting to happen in the next, construction should start around August. So we got to do all the payments, and then we need to move forward with the letting process and wait, and then we expect it to begin actually in August. So we are in a good place with TxDOT and everything on the trail loop, and we'll move forward. Business Industrial Park, technology, MLK infrastructure, still just engineering. You all just got an update on that, so you know where we're standing there. Agnes and Home Depot infrastructure, you can see the actual 400,541. That's reflective of what you saw earlier in our overage for last month. So we're well underway on Agnes 1.
Can I ask you a question about Agnes, Mike?
Yes.
Just with respect to the money, the rain, I'm sure, is killing them. Do they have a revised construction schedule?
Yeah, May. We should be done in May.
Okay,
so
and so we'll see that money
late.
would assume it's just it will still occur to the project amount, but I didn't know if you guys had forecasted expenditures. But so they're going to be late. It's not their fault that it rained. It's just going to be a matter of time, but we still expect the total price of the project to be the same?
Yes and no. I'll get into that with the budget changes.
Okay.
For all intents and purposes, yes.
I'm now remembering the comment.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions on that one? All right. Corporation fund. So there's just, you can see real quick, the ending gross fund balance is expected to be around 2.7. So we're doing fine on operating expenses, with the exception of a couple items like personnel. And then there's debt obligation scheduled through fiscal year 33. Remains unchanged. Any questions on the financials? Keep in mind that next is the budget discussion. So anyway.
Make a motion to accept the financials.
I'll second that.
All those approve? Those against? It passes. All right, consideration and discussion of changes for FY 2019 BEDC budget.
So as I mentioned, personnel is just one of the various items that we are over. To remind the board that last year when you went through the budgeting process, there was no executive director at that time, and this board acknowledged that and understood that changes would come down once a new a new executive director was brought on board. So here we are. We had to get this in line so that we can make any budget amendments to the city that request if needed. I'm really happy to say that we don't need an amendment. So we will find everything within the budget and just have to move money around around. So that's great. So what I found was $490,787.06 worth of transfers needed. What that includes basically is additional FTE, which is Fallon. Adjust for strategic plan. You guys, I think, budgeted about $75,000. Our strategic plan came back at about $106. Potential marketing consulting firm to work on marketing. That I'm anticipating no more than $70,000 for the remainder of this fiscal year. Staff training. We've done a lot of training this year, and I still think that's a really great thing we need to continue. So I don't want to hold anybody back from going and getting training to become a better economic developer. So that's fairly minor. The big one up here is the Agnes Road true-up. And what we found out with Agnes is that the bond issuance was $1.25 million for Agnes and the drainage ditch to deal with that. What was budgeted out of that 1.25 was the $250,000 went into the drainage escrow account. The CC Carlton bid amount for the construction itself was $986,124.20. So, Mayor, we anticipate that to be still pretty accurate. Engineering and project management consulting was budgeted to be $78,500. To date, we have used $77,376. We're still trying to figure out who missed it, but streetlights need to be part of the street, and that was not actually included in the cost estimate. So that's another $66,529 for streetlights. And then geotech was $4,300 thus far. So your total comes out to an overage of $135,418. We still have 453 left to spend of that, 453,000 left to spend of that. So we're going to be short at least $136,000. I went ahead and budgeted 200. I don't anticipate it going over that much, but there will be some overages. So the Agnes true up is of that 490 is 200 of that 490, if that makes sense. There's a couple other things in here I can point to, but that's pretty much it. And I found $615,434 in the budget to cover that 490. So there's more than enough money to move around and reallocate to the new priorities of the organization, if you will. Obviously, there's a pretty good gap of what is that, $125,000. So we will put that back into the budget. Where we went really lean, we'll bring back a little bit and make sure we're going to be okay for the rest of the year. But I think it's pretty healthy.
Isn't that 125 you found basically cover the 135 that is over?
That's in the 490. Yeah, so above and beyond that, I found another 125 that we could use. My point is I don't need to go to amendment even if Agnes is crazy. I will remind the board that if we do end up winning that EDA grant, we will have a $300,000 expenditure at that point, which this board has already approved for the remaining Agnes gap. So the fact that we have 125 automatically that we could put towards Agnes gap if needed, just really, we'd have to get another 175 in order to make that happen. So it's good that we found it, but also that project isn't real yet, so I didn't include it in that 490.
Mr. Camerlander, when I pull down the Dropbox, it says a total of 605.
You're correct. So Sam had some questions on Agnes, and we dug very deep into the accounting of Agnes. And so I had budgeted the 250 for the drainage plus the streetlights is 315. And so when you pull that back to the 200, that's 115,000 of it. And so it was a small adjustment because we have better numbers.
Way to go, Sam.
So I did update this for y'all.
No, that's fine, but I was just like, my slide
Yes.
doesn't look like your
Yes.
slide. Okay, so we're good to go. And my recollection, Chair Nash, is that we knew when we approved the budget we were likely to have to move things around. Is that what everyone else? Yeah.
Maybe not this much, but
What?
I'm glad we have it.
You had the 921. We had 921. Moving into the new building, we had a lot of stuff. Some of the big hitters.
Yeah, so the savings come from industrial park maintenance. We're mowing quite frequently, so we're pulling back a little bit on that. Excuse me. Office rental, there's $67,000 saved from that because we anticipated being overlap at 921, so we pulled 921 completely out of this fiscal year. Utilities, same thing. We had double utilities for a while. Cameron Legal, we're just not working you too hard right now, so we budgeted rather healthy there. Same with engineering. City projects and programs is actually the greatest single amount we save. So because of those grants that we got for Loop 150, it offsets that. And so that alone was $235,000 I pulled out of that. I can talk a little about the Loop now. 150, so we got about $620,000 worth of grants for the 150 Loop project. It's still going to be above that. We think it's going to come in at about 720 is where it's going to finally settle out around. So we still have a cost to that, and this takes into account the additional cost to get the trail done. I think it'll come out to be about I'd have to go back and look at my notes, but we have a couple $100,000 cost to that loop, that trail loop. But this does include that number in there. Marketing, travel, Some things were not being coded to the right areas, so there's some savings there. We pulled some other programs back that haven't been used in years. So it's just, we cleaned up the budget a lot, but the city project one is where we got $235,000.
Yeah, so Sam and I went over it quite thoroughly, and Mike, we commend you for going through and taking a real look at some of those expenses and realizing that they were not on track for what they were budgeted, and taking into account the calendar year and the fiscal year when it ends. You weren't going to spend that money in those categories anyway. No. So that's money that can be moved around and spent, dollars better spent. So thank you.
Absolutely. So we will move forward with.
Oh, okay. Have to share?
So we'll move forward with the process on the city of transferring funds from different accounts to cover these amounts. So we don't need board approval to do that, but we obviously want to be transparent in what we're doing with our budget. And so that's why we brought it forward with you. If you want to know more, you can see a lovely spreadsheet with everything if you'd really like. Otherwise, probably not next week, but not this week, but next week or so, we'll go through the process with the city and get that done. But no budget amendment, so that's really great. Only for the Agnes gap, which I will happily go to city council for that money when we get there.
No, that's good news. Thank you. So moving along to 3.4, the update on the EDC staff activities. Go ahead, Mike.
Sure. So real quick, we'll go through this. Marketing and other events attended. Fallon went to the February chamber luncheon. Mike and Angela and a lot of you came to the chamber banquet on February 8th. Thank you for being at our table. Hope you all had fun. Jean went to the medical device manufacturing show earlier this month in Anaheim, which was great. She had some really great meetings with those manufacturers and with site selectors that were also at the show, so it was well worth our time. Speak engagements, I spoke at Rotary and the Board of Realtors Luncheon. Jeff, I saw your wife at the Board of Realtors Luncheon. TEDC Legislative Conference, both the mayor and myself were just at that last week. And then Jean went to the Best Breakfast on Friday up in Elgin. Moving recruitment activity matrix. So out of region visits in January, those 14, we actually had some, great. So that's starting to tick up. Sources of leads, we had 6 in January, bringing our total for the year up to 19. You can see where those came from, very well spread out at 1 apiece for a majority of them, but 2 coming from the state. Prospect follow-up requests around 109 for the month, bringing the years up to 348. We had 1 prospect request that was a repeat, prospect visit. That was a repeat in 1, bringing the total for fiscal year 19 year to date up to 3. And then announcements, still hopefully will change soon. We're working on a project that I think we're getting real close on. So hopefully in the next 30 days or so, we'll be able to announce a project. So stay tuned for that. Year-to-date leads by industry. So that's a good-looking pie chart. We're still really heavy manufacturing, but starting to see other things crop in, which is great to see. More diversity, obviously, we think is better. But manufacturing still overwhelmingly at 63% is what we're getting. About 4,000 jobs, 3.8 million square feet, and $1.5 billion worth of investment is what all of those would entail. So again, this is great to average out as we get into fiscal 2020 and 2021. We can look into how are we doing with the types of projects that we're garnering. Retention expansion, you'll see that this January 18 has nothing because we weren't tracking it or nothing happened. January 19, total engagements was 6. So Angela and myself went out for 4 of them. We assisted with 1 item and had 1 workforce development meeting. So for the year, we've had 18 total engagements. So it's really healthy. And we're going to continue to move along that clip and meet with our existing companies, make sure everything's going well, see if we can help them with anything and make sure they're taken care of. Website analytics, this is pretty interesting. So 1,300 unique users, which is a 47% increase. 88 new, and 12% returning, 37 states, 25 countries. So just that 47% increase is enormous. We contribute that to our videos. We're much more involved in social media now. We're doing a lot of things to bring more to our website. So good. We're going to have another one probably next week. We hope to release the next one next week, so keep an eye out for that. Still coming from the normal places, except for all of a sudden Nebraska and North Carolina cropped in there, which is interesting. So we'll keep an eye on this, but Illinois and Virginia have been on there for a while. Social media engagement. So you can see that this also went up by about 50%. With Facebook likes, but Twitter followers and LinkedIn followers, I mean, you could say that that's what those are, but still we're tracking them better. It's really good. Facebook page likes, and we'll continue to build on that. So here they are. So overview, 40,000 people were reached. That's almost a 1,200% increase in our Facebook page. And that, keep in mind, that does bleed into February, so it's January 21 to February 17. A 360% increase in reactions, comments, and shares, and an 18,000% increase in video views. So the videos are working. Highest performing post, obviously, was Deep in the Heart, Art Boundary Made video. Almost 21,000 people were reached with 10,500 views, 726 reactions, comments, and shares. The second highest performing post was the B-side video, so which is, I'd like it to be Why Bastrop instead, but if Bastropians are, they know why Bastrop, but we'll keep trying that. But still, those are really great numbers. We're really happy with how these videos performed, and so we'll continue to build on those videos next week as we release the next one and keep building on that. So stay tuned. Rebranding of Bastrop EDC. So we have contracted with ED Suite to overhaul the entire Bastrop EDC brand and website. So we will be guided by two factors in that: personality and culture of Bastrop and style and vibe of the Austin area. So it'll include a new logo, branding guide, business cards, collateral materials, social media headers, and profile logos. And then that will feed into a new website to reflect all of that and modernize it. Our website's about 10 years old, and so it's about time we bring that up. At the time, it was cutting edge 10 years ago. It was one of the first ED Suite websites out there, and you guys were one of the first to use it. It was really great, and it still is okay, but as we do these videos, it's really hard to embed videos in a 10-year-old website and make it as interactive as we'd like it to be. So we want it to be more flexible, more interactive, and this will help us do it. That budget number I gave you includes this. So I'm counting on this and already found the money to do it. So it's in that 490. Project updates. Agnes 1 is under construction and no known delays other than weather related, which is about 2 months. 921 Main. First phase of remediation is almost completed, hopefully any day. But Stone Cobalt continues to market the building. Downtown Trail, I just gave you guys an update on that. And technology, so Bowman has provided city and county a scope of work, and we're working with the city and county to obtain these approvals to move forward as expeditiously as possible. And that's it for my project updates. Any questions? Great. Yes.
Okay. We have nothing else to discuss. So, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Yes, I move that we adjourn.
All those in favor? Oh, I might. Oh, I might have. Anyway, all those approve?
Aye.
Thank you. And it's 6:03.